My wedding was supposed to be the happiest day of my life, but my cousin, let's call her Chloe, seemed determined to make it a nightmare. We had grown up together, more like sisters than cousins, but as we got older, a strange rivalry grew on her side. I got a promotion. She'd make a sarcastic comment. I got engaged, and her congratulations felt like they were delivered through gritted teeth. I tried to ignore it, hoping it was just a phase. I even asked her to be a bridesmaid, thinking it would bring us closer again. Big mistake. The trouble started subtly. First, she accidentally spilled red wine on a stack of our wedding invitations. She was so apologetic that I let it slide. Then, during the bachelorette party she organized, she took us to a club she knew my fiancé, Mark, absolutely hated. She kept making jokes about my last night of freedom that felt more pointed than playful. My friends noticed, pulling me aside to ask if everything was okay between us. I brushed it off, still wanting to believe the best of her. The week before the wedding, the real chaos began. My final dress fitting was a disaster. The seamstress looked horrified, telling me the dress had been altered incorrectly. It was now 2 sizes too small. The only person who had access to the dress besides me and the seamstress was Chloe, who had picked it up for me as a favor. When I confronted her, she burst into tears, swearing it must have been a mistake by the shop. The seamstress worked miracles, but it cost a fortune and a mountain of stress to fix. Then, 2 days before the wedding, our florist called in a panic. Someone had canceled our entire flower order. The name they gave? Chloe. This time, her excuse was that she thought I had found a cheaper option and was trying to help me save money. We spent an entire day scrambling, calling every florist in a 50-mile radius to find last-minute replacements. Mark was furious. He wanted to uninvite her right then and there, but she was my aunt's daughter, my family. I couldn't. I just told her to stay away from any more wedding planning. The morning of the wedding, I was a bundle of nerves, but my other bridesmaids were amazing. They formed a protective bubble around me, fielding calls and handling last-minute details. They made sure Chloe was kept busy with meaningless tasks, far away from anything important. As I was getting my makeup done, my maid of honor, Sarah, came in looking pale. She handed me her phone. "You need to see this," she said. It was a social media post from a secret account. The profile picture was a distorted, unflattering photo of me. The feed was filled with lies about me and Mark, that our relationship was a sham, that I was a gold digger, and that Mark was still in love with his ex. The posts were timed to go live right as the ceremony was about to start. My heart sank. This wasn't just sabotage. This was cruel. There was no doubt who was behind it. The writing style, the specific fake details, it all screamed Chloe. For a moment, I felt like I couldn't breathe. I wanted to call everything off, to just hide. Then, a wave of anger washed over me. No, I wasn't going to let her win. I had spent a year planning this day to marry the love of my life. She wasn't going to ruin it. I looked at Sarah and my other friends. "Okay," I said, my voice shaking but firm. "Here's what we're going to do." We took screenshots of everything. Sarah, a tech wizard, quickly traced the account's IP address, and while it wasn't a perfect confirmation, it pointed right back to Chloe's neighborhood. We sent the screenshots to a few trusted family members, including my parents and my Aunt Chloe's mom. The plan was set. I took a deep breath, fixed my makeup, and walked down that aisle with my head held high. The ceremony was beautiful. Seeing Mark at the altar, all the stress and anger melted away. We said our vows, and for those few minutes, the world was perfect. But I knew the drama wasn't over. At the reception, the mood was joyous. We had our first dance, we cut the cake, and speeches began. My dad gave a wonderful speech. Then it was Sarah's turn. She started with the usual sweet stories about our friendship. Then, her tone shifted. "A wedding is about celebrating love and unity," she said, looking out at the guests. "It's about family and friends coming together to support a couple. Unfortunately, not everyone here today shares that sentiment." A nervous murmur went through the crowd. Sarah continued, "Some people would rather try to tear others down out of jealousy." She looked directly at Chloe, whose smile was starting to falter. "So, instead of a traditional toast, I'd like to share a few recent social media posts." The projector screen behind the head table, which was supposed to be showing a slideshow of me and Mark, flickered to life. And there it was, the fake account, the nasty posts, the lies, all displayed for our 200 guests to see. Gasps filled the room. Chloe went white as a sheet. People started pulling out their phones, looking at the screen, and then staring at her. Her own mother, my aunt, looked at her with pure disbelief and horror. Chloe tried to run, but her dad stood up and blocked her path, his face like thunder. My aunt walked over to our table, tears streaming down her face, and apologized profusely. She said she was so ashamed and couldn't believe her daughter would do something so hateful. The aftermath was swift. Chloe's parents made her publicly apologize to me and Mark in front of everyone who was left. It was the most awkward, insincere apology I'd ever heard, but seeing her forced to confront her actions was a victory in itself. They took her home immediately, and the party, surprisingly, got even better. It was like a dark cloud had lifted. People were hugging me, telling me not to let it ruin my day, and celebrating with even more energy. Chloe faced the consequences. Her family was mortified and made her pay for the dress repairs and the extra florist costs. But the social fallout was worse for her. Our shared friends and family saw her for who she truly was. She became a social pariah, known as the cousin who tried to destroy a wedding out of pure spite. She tried reaching out to me months later with another half-hearted apology, but the trust was completely shattered. I blocked her number. Sometimes, standing up for yourself in the most public way possible is the only path to peace. My wedding day started as a nightmare, but it ended up being an incredible, liberating day where I married my soulmate and shed the most toxic person in my life. And honestly, I wouldn't change a thing. Thank you for listening to my story. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more.